Oh, look at that. I'm a cameraman now. It's episode 12 and I've already made a mess. But this is all in aid of getting that path redone down there. So I spoke last time about the fact that this is probably the next thing to do. Not quite true, because I need to wait for it to dry out. What I've done in the meantime is at least lift the flags up and broke it up a bit so that it's drying out a bit quicker, which it already has done. I only did this yesterday and it's already drying pretty fast. So then I can start to dig off what's needed and put the path up. What we did with the path was it comes down slightly to this point here where I'm stood to make it a bit more level with the opening into the garden here. But as you work further up, it's going to come back up in level section through the sort of bend in the middle, and then drop back down to the far end, and that just meets all the levels that we've got down here, but all a steady level that it'll be on. But anyway, we'll look at this when I've got a bit further with it and when it's all dried out. Other things that I've done, or little snippets of things that I've done, is we've got the string replaced. So this took quite a bit of getting right because this length right here is very critical. Originally we wanted to use some adjustable ones of these, but they were just too big for the mount at each end. We had problems getting hold of them and things like that.
Yeah, they're about 3 times the size of those. They were massive.
Yeah, so we've gone with crimp ones, and it was just a little bit faffy getting the right length, but now we've got that length, it means that when it's in the upright position, the counterweight being straight down keeps the bridge in that position. It's not resting on the back. It would be nice if it was a little bit further over, but you're not walking into it.
No, you don't walk into it.
You don't walk into it at all.
I mean, if you do walk into it, it's your own daft fault.
Yeah. And it means that when the wind just blows it, it just literally just
rocks a bit as the wind is blowing it now.
The wind's just blowing now.
Yeah.
And works. I still haven't done anything about the counterweight yet. I'm waiting on an idea popping into my head about how I just want to build that. But the old LED flashing is doing its job, and I still need to put the plate on here for it lining up. But at the minute, it just seems to line up.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's all good there. So if the camera wants to follow me through into the garden, into the sunshine,
yeah, that'd be nice.
Because it is a little bit warmer.
It's quite chilly when you're not in the sunshine.
Yeah, the sun's nice. What we've done on the bank. So we have got the top of the tunnel that's finished off. So if I go around to the side, we've got the bit in at the back of the tunnel and the plastic edging strip that we've used further along in place. I did a little bit of grinding and on the back of this, just put a bit of detail in for some stones, which we'll show you a close-up of. And we've got a few plants in here just to tidy it all up. I've still got to do a little bit of work that way on it, but we'll get to that at some point. But getting all this in has meant I could get some more soil on top, which is what I've done. It's obviously still settling down, which is why you can see it's drying out and cracking and things, so I might have to add another little bit more at some point. But to then enable me to do that, I had to put the walling in. So the walling's in place now, cemented in, and what I was worried about with this walling is it's effectively acting as a retaining wall. So I didn't want to have a big load of cement at this side of it. At the minute I haven't got the actual finished layer in here yet, so it'll sit over it. But there was a good chance, especially on these ones that are straight, of it tipping over and falling in. So what I did was, in the back of these walls, I've drilled a hole into them, not too far so that you're going to break out the front, just far enough. Used one of the horrible yellow plugs that I never actually use because they're horrible things, but I needed something short. So put those in, and a screw, which meant each wall has 2 screws sticking out about here. And they are basically going into the soil that's at the back here. and that should hopefully stop it from wanting to tip forwards because there's a bit of weight on the screws at the back. It's like pinning it into the ground. A couple of them, I put a little bit of cement on the screws as well, just to give it an extra bit of weight and support. But that should mean that it's not going to tip over, especially as like the trees and things at the back here put their roots out and things. I don't want it to be tipped. So that was the plan with that. The other little bit I've done, make my way over here, is I've cut this bridge in. So it needs a lot more support yet, needs the edging and things putting all around it, but I just wanted to cut it down so that it was roughly sat in, just so it looked a bit nicer really. So there's a chance I might look at this before long, but it's not essential at the minute, so I just do bits on it as and when I can. But it's looking nicer that it's now actually in the sort of position I want it to be in. And I think that's about it for the minute. Other than that, we've done quite a lot of bits of just tidying up planting and things like that. But I do want to address a little problem we've come across this morning. So I'll come round and we'll have a look at that. So we have a pair of blackbirds that are nesting somewhere down the back here. We see them quite often, and they're always nice. They're quite sort of friendly. They won't really fly off when you get close. However, they've obviously taken a dislike to me or my moss, because when we came out this morning, this is what he's done. Now I can't be 100% certain that it is that blackbird, I will admit, but yeah. Not ideal. Anyway, it does mean that I can transplant some of this where I want it and fill some gaps and try and level this section. But yeah, I will get you. The other little job I've done is build up this wall to its finished level. So we've got a load of stones around now. There is some little bits like here that we're going to do something a little bit special with. I won't say what just yet because that will commit me to actually pulling it off. Whereas we'll just say I'm going to try something and we'll see if it appears on the video I've managed it. But that gets us across into this corner, and we've got the block walling along the back as well, which is the back line, because this is a triangle for the extension that's towards the front. So yeah, so there's a few bits and pieces here to do. What we're probably going to do next is do a load of work on gardening and moving some plants around, repositioning some things, bits and pieces like that, so that they can be heading off and growing. Put my moss back in place, little bit and pieces like that, and then yeah, then I can leave it then to grow away and.
Yep, it's safe to say the plants have certainly sprouted up in the last week or so.
They're definitely starting to reappear.
This geranium has gone mad. It's sort of spreading out all over the place, but we'll have to keep it off the track. But other than that, it can go that direction if it wants to.
That's the other little thing I've.
Oh yeah, true.
Which looks very rough at the minute,
but
lid's turned over so that we can put a load of sandy soil. It definitely looks very sandy now that it's rained on it, which is going to be our sort of alpine succulent section, which is
when I work that one out,
removable just about. It can be removable by one person.
It's a two-person job really, isn't
it? It is a fairly big job, but to be honest we're not going to get to the pump that often because we really have to do the backwashing process, which, because we've not got fish in the pond yet anyway, we don't have to do that often. So there you go.
So I mean, the lily is starting to appear. I don't know whether I can actually show you.
Down at the bottom.
It is starting to put leaves up. It doesn't show massively well, but that's starting to put leaves up. We have actually got, I can't show you them because they've now all hatched, but we have actually got tadpoles in the pond.
Yes.
Somewhere. I will not be able to show you them.
No.
But they hatched.
We saw some yesterday, didn't we?
Last week. So hopefully we'll have some little mini frogs.
Yeah.
Coming soon. That'll be quite cool.
Yeah. So some plants in the pond haven't enjoyed it, just like the garden.
Yeah.
Some haven't worked, some have.
Yeah, this one has. This one in the edge that, oh, that's not going to show up on camera at all.
No.
I might have to put a photo up of that. That one's happy.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Anyway, we'll do some tidying up and then maybe show you what we've moved around.
Yeah.
Finally, a day that isn't raining or blowing a gale that we can actually film something for you. Because it seems like every time we want to get the camera out, it's just blowing windy, and if we try and film anything, you won't hear us. But today is the day where we can give you an update on a few bits I've managed to sneak in on windy days when it's not been too wet. So last time you saw, we got this bit of walling finished up, and that's meant that I can also finish up the flags round this area as well. So we're all redone this corner. We took the flags up in this corner obviously because it was square, so we had to take them up to get the wall in and everything in. We took a few more up as well just so we didn't, well, some of them were loose, but also so we didn't drop any stones and damage any of them, anything like that. So I've done these, cut them in, and that's looking really tidy now in this corner. I'll come back to what we're doing track-wise in this little bit in a second. The other thing we've got in is a sleeper, and to get the sleeper in I've had to build this pillar. So again, cut in where the flags are, so some of the flags from here have gone to that end and filled in bits and pieces like that, but this pillar's been put in. We did talk at one point, I can't remember if it was on video, but anyway, about cutting this sleeper down so that there was two equal ones here, because there's another one going off from here, but it just wasn't going to look right if we cut it down. So we've gone with one full sleeper here, which means you get the detail, which is what I'm sat on now, of the chairs, if they are real sleepers, and then we're going to do a half one, or just about a half one, in this bit, which I think will look better, because it'll actually explain that they are sleepers and the link with the railway and everything else. So yeah, getting this pillar in was a bit of a job, because obviously when you're building a wall, you only have to think generally about the front face and possibly where the joints are. You don't have to think about around the side as well. Whereas here, a lot of the stones have to be good on front and the two sides if they're a big one like that. Or these ones be good and match each other and try and keep the levels right and come up getting smaller. And we've used up all our good stone doing that wall. So finding some decent ones for doing this was a bit of a challenge, but I got there. And again, walled in the same way, it is cemented. In fact, there's a bit more cement on this one because it's going to be taking more of the weight and more knocks and things from supporting these two sleepers. But we've tried to scrape out the joints so it looks more dry stone. It's not right to the edge in the cement. So the bit that's going off this way will be a little bit later probably. But we've got this in, which means means we can get the track down at least this bit, and gives us another side in for the minute. So speaking of track, we'll go have a look at what we're doing in this corner. So in this triangle, which has been nicknamed Electric Triangle, to the connections under here, we've taken up some of the track. So we've taken up the section that came off this point into the point that's just the coming out the tunnel there. So you might have seen some of the footage, we had quite a lot of packing under this piece. This wall, when I built it, didn't quite get it in the right place, and trying to build it up and get it into the right place meant it wasn't very level. It was a bit of a pain of one to build, so it's taken a bit more levelling than the rest of the line. So what I've done today is put a bit more down over the tile adhesive mix so that I can get rid of all the temporary packings that we put underneath it to get it level to run it. Hopefully I can sand this back and it'll be nice and level. I've then also put some down the back, so coming off that point down here so that we can get onto this sleeper. So I haven't done any at the front because I'm going to do a little bit more work at the front here to bridge some of these gaps, and there's a bit more work to do basically here before I can put the tile adhesive on. But for now we'll just have a line down the back to gain as a siding basically. So I've had a few questions about this tile adhesive mix and the method that we're using. So today the mix I used was 5 of the tile adhesive and 4 of builder's sand, because that was one of the other questions, what sand. It is just builder's sand. You just try and get it a bit fine. You don't want any lumps in it, because when you're then mixing it and things you've got to break them up. So I generally just, if there's any solid bits in the bag of builder's sand, just toss those off to one side and then get some that's broken up. Obviously you can break it up if that's all you've got. Yeah, mix that together. The key thing is, I think I said last time, because again if you're catching up on this, it's in episode 4 that we originally talked about this. But the key thing I said back then, and it's still the case, is getting the consistency right, getting the right wetness with it, because you don't want it to all just slide off the side, which is done a little bit here, but you'll see at the back here it stayed generally on top of the wall, but it's got to be thin enough to go through the serrated scoop that we have. Now it has been hard to get hold of one of these, I think, when I've looked it up, but a few people have said you could just use a serrated trowel, which you can. This is a bit easier, but yeah, serrated trowel does the same thing. But if it's too thick, it won't go through the teeth, and you'll end up either it just sort of leaving blobs along the track, or it won't come out, or you'll just have a thin layer because it's gummed up these and you're just sort of scraping a flat face. You need those ridges so that when you come to sand it, you're only sanding the ridges down. You're not having to sand a solid block of it. So you'll see that's the kind of ideal consistency that you want, so you can get those ridges there. The bit that I put on here had to be a bit thicker, and it just was a little bit wet at this end, so you can see it's going to take a bit more sanding and it takes a bit longer to dry as well. So put it on this morning, and hopefully this afternoon, with the sort of sun possibly coming out a little bit more,
it is meant to.
Yeah, it's meant to come out. This can all be dry and we can sand it off, check that it's level again, and reinstate this bit of track and put a bit more down here. What I have taken the opportunity to do on this bit is put a few stones in down the side of the blocks, just to hide that block edge a little bit here, because I suspect that with all the levels that we've got going on around this section, the track's going to be a little bit higher than probably any of the planting and soil. So by putting those in, when I then come to ballast later on, it'll fill all the cracks as well between the stones and just blend it all in, and then you won't see any of the block, which is what you want to get rid of, because the blocks don't look right. But putting bits and pieces down like that hides them. And yeah, that's what we've done there. I've not obviously put any down the sleeper. The sleeper's actually fairly level, so I'm happy that I'm probably just going to put the track straight onto that. And also I don't hide any of the nice looking sleeper as well. It wouldn't look right putting anything on that. There might just be a bit of wooden packing where the chairs have been, and they're sunk down slightly. We'll probably just put some nice bits of wooden packing under there. It'll rot away over time, but I'm happy to just replace that for the better look. So yeah, that's what's going on in this corner. We've also done a bit more work on some planting. We've got the tub that was covering the pond filter down here. We've started to plant that up with some succulent plants, which is what this bit's going to sort of be. And you might have noticed some of the ferns have moved as well, which I think we talked about on the last update, on one of the updates, that we're probably going to move more of the ferns to that side to keep them out of the sun. The one that's there seems happy at the minute, which is why it was here, and I've shifted it up to there. Yeah, I think that's it. There's a little bit more on planting down the other end, which I'll give you a quick update on, but we'll show that now.
So I've had several people say to me that I'm not in the videos enough, so here you go, I'm going to do the plant update. We'll see how this goes. We're getting into spring, nearly summer now, to be fair, and things are starting to come alive. So the bank's now looking, the quarry hillside is looking quite green. We have transplanted some bits off there that I'll show you in a minute. And the Acer tree is now come to life. It's opened all its leaves up, so that's looking lovely. But the main changes are down the bank, which if the camera wants to move slightly. So the moss seems pretty happy now. The birds have stopped pulling it apart, so that's good. We have transplanted this, the lime moss, or most of it, off the quarry hillside, because the lawn chamomile that was here it didn't survive, which is a shame. The Irish moss is looking wonderful. This seems very happy. And then we have some lawn chamomile still on this bit. We'll come back to the top, camera person.
Yep.
So we've left some of the lawn chamomile that seems happy down here, and added some new plants. We'll put all the names of these at the end of the video, because I don't know them. So hopefully these spread out quite a lot.
So they are ones that will spread quite a lot when we
they go
bought
like
them. So
50 centimetres or something. So
yeah, we haven't put a lot in for the minute because we're still not 100% sure whether we want them in this section. Well, we want something in this section, but not sure if it's going to be this or whether the lawn chamomile is actually going to spread across. Because when we were digging, quite a lot of it appeared underneath this. So this is an experimental field. Exactly, yeah.
But yes, the biggest things we've put in are, I mean, some of you will spot this straight away, that there appear to be a lot more trees.
They do
along
indeed.
The back of the bank, because we put 5 new ones in yesterday. So it's starting to fill out quite nicely. So again, I'll put pictures of what they are and names, and I'll do all of them in sections so that you can see what they all are. We actually have a lot of them from the same family of trees, which just seem to be quite good.
Yes, and we call them trees.
Yeah.
They're
bushes.
They're conifers.
Well,
but we refer to them as trees because that's kind of what we're trying to show.
Some of them are similar. There's sort of variations on conifers, I suppose, but none of them actually have conifer in the name. So
yeah, they're that family. The other thing is, you'll notice we've got quite a lot now that are towards the back of the wall.
Yes, those ones.
So that they're not just in a line next to each other; they're actually behind.
Yeah, they're staggered.
And we're trying to keep the taller ones, maybe slightly larger, towards the back, because the idea is that as you come down and look from this view, that they are going to fill up at the back, a bit higher up, hide that brick wall, so that when you're taking photos of locos and things, you've got that backdrop there. So that's the idea with that.
So we may need to add more yet, but they start to add up when they're sort of, you're paying £12 each for trees. You don't get too many at once.
No.
But yeah, some of them are duplicates, so I think we now have 3 of the same tree.
Yes, we do have one of them, yeah. And quite a few of them. Example of this one down here that went in last year.
This one's it's grown quite a bit. I should try and find a before and after photo and try and do a comparison. I don't know whether I've got them to do that, but some of them have definitely grown. I mean, you can see one of the ones down here, if the camera comes this way, that is looking sort of yellow on top, and that's its new growth from this year. So it looks very strange, but hopefully it's going to go green again. But I think that's about it down here. We did add a couple of plants to the pond, but I might just put a photo of that later. It's only really one plant and we've got several of them. We're in the hope that they survive better than the last ones did.
Yeah. Yeah, generally things are filling out.
Yeah, the whatever it's called, name of it's completely left me now. It'll come back to me at some point.
No use asking me, I am no plant expert.
This is happy. The geranium has gone absolutely mad at the far side of the pond.
Yeah. You'll see the few
heathers are
ferns we've moved as well.
Starting to come to life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one's properly. That was all curled up in a little ball when you put it there, and it's now gone.
Indeed.
I'm happy. It's just a constant battle against the weeds now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm really liking is you're starting to get really nice landscape heading into the, if I can get my finger in shot, heading into the tunnel at this side.
Shall I do it here? Here you go.
Yeah.
This bit.
just passing past there, and it's looking good. So we've got quite a bit of work to do elsewhere, because strange enough we do have more garden than just this bit to garden, and
yes.
And yeah, we've neglected the front a little bit, so we are doing a bit of that in today.
That's today's job. We've had a bit of a break from
possibly
that
bit of track in the corner, but we'll hope to give you some more updates later on. Certainly this week. Weather is looking this good this week.
If we can fit it in around everything else,
we will give you some more updates. But we will see you in a bit. Isn't that lovely? I wish I could say I built it myself, but I haven't yet. Anyway, no, this came from somebody local that just happened to show up on our Facebook marketplace, and I saw it and thought, oh my god, that's a 16mm wall. Now it is maybe slightly big, but thank you very much to the people who made this. We went to see them, contacted them, talking about the railway obviously, and got some advice from them as well, how they made it and things, and obviously bought one, and we've actually got another one, slightly different design, elsewhere in the garden as well.
I'll put a picture of it up in the top corner.
Yeah, it's probably not going to stay here obviously, it's just sat here for now while we contemplate where we're going to put it, but it was amazing to go see them. They were really, really friendly, really nice. Gave us some advice on how to build sort of wall-looking things like this, and hopefully, some point soon, I will give it a go. But for now, I can just enjoy looking at this one. But what I have done a bit ago, admittedly, is put some track down. So there's probably some other footage in this episode way back where I said I was going to do it. And I did do it that day, but we then got rained off, typically, before we could film it. But yes, I got the track in down the back. Front track's not in, a bit more work to do on that with these sections. Got something in mind for how I'm doing that, so that will come soon. But the track's down the back, and it just goes down the sleeper to this end. The end piece isn't actually fixed yet, because obviously that will carry on down there. But what this does mean is we've got, for the time being, another siding down here, which will be important this year because we're having an open day for our Yorkshire Group members, so they can steam up in here while we still work on the next bit. Otherwise, other things we've been doing around, mainly planting, weeding, bits and pieces like that, but we've mostly been busy with the 2 shows that have just taken place, and other things, business, all sorts, house, etc. So we've basically just come out and weeded, tidied bits up here and there.
It is mostly weeding.
Mostly weeding.
Yeah.
But that does mean if the weeds are growing, so are the plants, so it is looking great.
Oh yes, particularly this one we just spotted, which is the Edelweiss, which has suddenly sprouted up and is looking like it's going to flower pretty soon.
Yeah, which is a good, I don't know whether we actually thought about the position of it. Maybe we did, we'll say we did, but it's actually a great one to put in this, because obviously your track's so much higher than the ground level outside here.
We'll claim we did, but no, we didn't, because I didn't know what it was going to do.
But yeah, things are looking good around. One bit we have done some work on this morning is I've managed to make the path go a little bit further. So I've got this section down. It is quite interesting. When I did this bit, obviously I have a little bit more room to work, but everything comes from that end, and so when you start laying them, you're obviously then working over the top of everything. As I get down this bit, trying to work like this is quite tricky. So I haven't filmed any of it because, well, it's just too difficult to actually lay the flags in the first place, let alone film it as well. But I've got down to that point there. Obviously I can bring stuff in from the end, but then it's a long way around as well, so I'll sort of do half of it from this end, half of it from that end. But next with this is I want to do the far end. But to do the far end, this bit has to dry first, and I want to do the far end first because the bit in the middle won't be tight laid to each other. It will be where it wiggles and things a little bit more spread out with gravel in between. So that's where I want to make up the distance. I don't want to get to the far end and run out of flags, basically. So got to let this dry, and then I can lay the far end.
Yeah, you're going to have to work out your pattern from the far end.
Pattern's all laid out.
You've laid it out already?
I've laid the flags out so I cannot go wrong.
Oh, that's okay.
Because there is a pattern. We have got some red ones, and we worked out a pattern through which should follow.
Yeah, there's 3 grey ones in between the red ones.
Yes. So yes, now I've stood them up so that I know the pattern. But hopefully today I've got another little bit that we'll go and have a look at now, and I'll try and explain to you what I'm going to do. Probably not going to make much sense, but I will show you later on if I've managed it and it doesn't rain, how I've got on. So we'll go have a look at that. So you saw me put this bridge in, or at least just cut it slightly so it was the right height a bit ago, but I can't fix it in yet because, well, I think I said at the time, I've got to do a bit of walling round to support this bridge. And especially this little bit of track right here that comes off the point. So clearly that's not going to work for running across, so I need something in this area here. Now when I put these ones in, I knew the angle probably wasn't going to be correct, but you know, trying to do a perfect curve off another one ain't going to happen, so I put them in like that, and I knew I was going to put something in this corner. And right from the start, I've mentioned to a few friends and things that I wanted a little bit of a water feature down this end, but not a big fountain, pond, or anything like that. I want something that you see quite often down the side of railways, and that is a little culvert stuck out of the track, dribbling water out. So, or rather out of the track, out the side. And so I wanted something just dribbling a little bit of water out as if it's come down from the fields above and it's flowing underneath the track. So I'm hoping to achieve that in this corner. And how I'm going to hopefully achieve that, this is all hopeful, is when I build this section of wall in here, that means I can get something in it. And so I can get probably a piece of this plastic pipe that I've now thrown on the floor that I've had for a number of years as a truckload, I think it was originally. I'm going to put in that bit of wall there. Then to get the water to flow, I have purchased from an incredibly reliable source of all things that will not fail you at a moment's notice, eBay, a very cheap solar pump. So this is the pump section. Ignore the tape and dodgy bit of pipe, it's just what I had as a test. But I'm going to put this in a bit of a tank somewhere here. Not quite sure whether it's going to be at the base of this or if I'm actually going to bring the culvert across this roadway that I'm going to make here and actually put it over here somewhere. But that's going to go in, pipe up into the bit of culvert sealed at the end and dribble out the wall. And this pump is not very powerful, or certainly isn't very powerful at that height, so I should be able to get a flow that's a dribble, or a very small flow anyway. The tricky bit with all this is then where to put the panel, because I don't really want to stick a panel somewhere here, it will just look out of place. So what I'm hoping is I can take the wire and I'm going to bring it across here, and I'm actually going to have a look at hiding it somewhere on this side, so probably tucked down low, maybe in this corner or somewhere, so that from this side you don't really see it. And that should work quite well because that's south facing is that way. So although you're going to get quite a lot of shadow obviously in winter with the actual house itself, this thing actually works quite well just an overcast day when we tested it. So I should be able to put it somewhere tucked down like this. I can always move it later if it doesn't quite work, but that is the plan. So in order to do all this, I'm going to dig this out today, probably dig round this bit because I'm also doing something down this end, but I'll come on to that later. And I want to pack it full of stones and give it a good base because I don't want this to drop, because keying it into this is going to be quite difficult, so I want a solid base under all of this. I'll do this end another day, but I'll do the same thing. I want it solid underneath. So I'm going to dig that out, save some of this moss that we've got, this Irish moss, sorry, that we've got in here as well, and bits and pieces like that that can get put in other places. So yeah, I'm going to get on with that, and I'll see whether we film a little bit when we're doing it. I'll probably dig it out first, and I'll film laying some of the blocks, and I'll show you how I do that. So let's get on with it. So I've not got quite as far as I hoped today with this bit, but I realised actually when I first put this in, so I put a concrete base in, I realised that this is going to have to set anyway for quite a bit, so I wasn't going to get much walled up, but yeah, I need this set. So what I did, dig down, put a load of stones in the bottom of it just to give it a good support, and then I've actually drilled into the block in places and put some concrete screws in, which don't require a plug, drill the right hole size hole and they just go in. They're not massively sturdy in these concrete blocks. I'm not sure why, whether I'm drilling the wrong hole or not, but they hold enough, and really it's just to give it something to key to so that this doesn't crack away. That's the idea. They're not really supporting any weight, so it's just to give it something to key to so it stays attached. So the plan is to come off here, sort of follow that curve of the track round and go around there. There will be a bit more down this section here, but for now I've done that. The other little bit of job I've done is down here. So down here I've filled this section with soil, but I've done it with some blocks of wood in. And what I'm trying to do here, because this is a roadway, and I think this has to come up here anyway, but we'll get to that, is I want it to be just like tracks down a roadway with greenery in the middle of it, sort of overgrown, bits like that. So I did an experiment last year, but I knew it wouldn't last anyway because the ground level was going to drop, by putting these bits of wood in, packing a load of soil around it, letting that dry, and then you could wiggle these, pull them out, put stones in the bottom, just little like pea gravel sort of stuff, and then the sort of ballasty stuff that I've got, smaller stones basically, on top, and set it all with SBR, which is the stuff we're going to use for ballasting. For anybody that doesn't know what SBR is, because I'm not sure we've talked about it on here much, it's a concrete additive made for, I think, making it waterproof and sticking it together, things like that. But for garden railways, it's really handy for putting ballast down or sticking. It's almost like a resin that.
It's like waterproof PVA. Almost.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it looks like.
That's kind of how it acts, and it's getting a little bit more expensive these days. But it always used to be a lot cheaper than waterproof PVA. I think it still is. We use it for the ballast, and we're going to use it here as well for putting, sticking these down, basically keeping them in place. So I'm waiting on all this drying, but I'll wiggle these and put it in, and that should be it, because the ground level here shouldn't drop. I've packed it down as much as I can now. So I'm waiting on that job drying, I'm waiting on that job drying, which meant I could go and start another one, because why not start as many jobs as you possibly can.
The sun's shining.
Well, yes, and that was the other reason why I went and started a job over here, because it's slightly in the shade. So we'll go behind the camera. I'm informed by the Nikki behind the camera that this looks messy, and that's because it is. Yeah, the things have got sort of spread everywhere. What I'm trying to do here is get the line for the quarry top line that's here and this siding joined up. Now, I started by trying to work out how I was going to do this bit, and there was a suggestion in one of the videos, or one of the comments on one of the videos, I think it was a couple actually, of joining it up to the track over here,
yep,
which is a bit of an offshoot of that line. Now, that would be dead easy to bring that round, join up with the quarry line, perfect. But once again, I don't like doing things easy, and what I'm hoping to do long term is actually replace these pico points that we've got down this section.
Those points.
These ones, which are the long radius points, or medium, or yes, they're medium I think, because they don't make any longs, with ones on a constant 4-foot radius, which will get the running line track, which is this outside one, inside, however you want to do it, this side one, back in line with the blocks, which is where it was originally intended to go. So that's all future, not quite sure when I'm going to do it, but that means that siding will disappear. So I don't want to connect it to there. So that got me back to this siding over here. I'm trying to connect it in. So what, I had a bit of debate of, am I going to keep it close to this track or further in? We've decided to go further in. So it's going to come off a fairly tight radius, which will restrict who can go in it, but it's already fairly long at that end. So it'll only be your trucks really. So it's going to come round here, get to about here somewhere, where there will be a point, somewhere there-ish, I can't remember exactly where it went, about there, and buffer stop about here. And then that point will then cast you up to go up the quarry line there, which will be very tight, it'll be 30-inch radius and up a slope. So that's the plan there. We didn't want to concrete all the way across, because then you lose, well, you're losing even more of your garden. So what I've done is I've dug all this section out, put all these bits of wood in, as a sort of barrier to this section, because I've actually cut some off of the block here as well to give us a little bit more.
Oh, you can see it.
You can just, I've cut a little bit off. I might cut more off yet, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I've cut that bit off, and so we're trying to create a little bit of a soil strip down here so we can plant something in that, separate the two lines out, look a bit nicer.
Less concrete.
Less concrete. But obviously trying to do it all when you've got garden around you and track and all sorts is a bit difficult. So I put these in, so I can put all the rubble that I've been collecting in. Got my sort of finer stuff in as well. And now what I'm doing is basically taking these out, or wiggling them up a little bit. I've already put a load of soil down this edge and packing the soil down. So the idea is that the soil's going underneath where this bit of wood is, and the rubble's staying where it is. There might have been an easier way to do it, but this is the way I've done it.
Why do things the easy way?
Exactly. So we're doing a bit of that. Pull that out.
You're going to have to put a lot more soil in that.
And then, yeah, well, I'll just keep moving.
To be fair, there is a wheelbarrow full of soil.
There is. It's amazing how much soil comes out.
Well, I think you did eventually work out, while trying to dig down to find the weed membrane.
Yes.
But it was a whole block down.
That's the whole point with this.
How far down we'd gone with it.
Is this whole section here I wanted to be sat on the rubble that's underneath, because there's been a little bit of movement in that bit, which doesn't matter for the quarry line, but if this is a siding I don't really want this dropping, because you'll notice it next to this track that it's dropped. So all this is sat on the rubble, which is all the way down, so shouldn't drop. Shouldn't. But yeah, basically working my way along, packing the soil in as much as I can. So that we get that soil barrier around. It's not going to be perfect, we're going to have to dig bits of it out and put a bit more soil in it and better soil on top and things. But at the minute I just want to get it to a stage where I can then put my concrete on top of it. If I cast it against these, I'm not sure I can get it out. Might be able to do, but I thought if I get some soil in here just packed here, I can do that, I can trim the edge of the concrete off and things, and go like that. So carry on, get this bit out. This will have to be done another day because it's about the end of the afternoon now and I'm starting to get hungry and we haven't got anything in the fridge. So railway will have to come.
Second to shopping.
Second to shopping.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will carry on.
Crack on.
Thank you, camera assistant. Good day to you. So I am balanced on top of our track on the Dale side section of the railway, and the other day I put in some bits of wood down this side to make well, the idea is to make a track that they're running on, so with a bit of grass down the middle of. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a system that I used last year as a bit of a test on this section. So what I've done, the bits of wood have gone in the soil, and basically they're just making a U shape for me to put the stones into. And I put them in, trying to get the soil to sort of settle down, and then I'm going to wiggle the bits of wood that are in here, wiggle them out, and then fill them. What I'm filling them with is some bigger sort of gravel to start with, some larger bits, such as like pea gravel stuff, and then I've also got some more angular, even finer stuff, which is going to be the top layer. So that's basically just a base layer, and then this will go on top. And then I'm gluing all that together with some SBR, which is not supplied in this bottle, I'm just using this to apply it a bit easier. So I'm going to do this section down here. So first step is you've got to wiggle your bits of wood and try and get them out without pulling all the soil up, which is a little bit difficult on these larger sections. Like that. So that gives me a groove that we're going to put it in, and I've spaced these roughly right for a vehicle to come down. Then I'm going to take a larger pea gravel and put some of that in the base, loose bits I can just put in as well. Like that. And now we're going to go for the finest stuff. This is where it gets a little bit harder because you want to try and get it in nice and level. Just use my hands for this bit, might be a bit easier. Then once you've got a bit in, you don't have to put all of it in yet. We're now going to apply the SBR neat. And I'm going to put plenty on it because I want it to drop down through the layers and glue it all together, and then we're just going to put a top layer on as well. Pat that down. I'm not too worried about it spreading out. I don't want a perfect groove because these roads never are. And then what's going to happen over time then is the moss and things, and just the lane will generally green, and you should just be left with this strip that are the tracks. So I'll pat that down, and then we'll do front edge. And then once I've got all this section done, I will then come with a like a spray bottle of water, spray it, and what that will do is it will just spread out the SBR, diffuse it and get it and pull it up through. Any bits then where I don't see white, I'll just add a little bit more SBR and spray it over again. So I'll get a few sections done. So once again, we'll wiggle our bits of wood. And extract them. Drop some of the gravel, bigger gravel in. Like that. What we can actually do is we can add some SBR at this stage. And now add the finer stuff. And then we'll just pat down the soil edge so that it all blends in together. Use a bit of wood just to pat it all down. But now, add a little bit more SBR to that, and then I'll go get some water, spray it on, and I'll show you what that looks like. If I can get down from here. So, I've given it a quick spray of water, and that's the end result. So you'll see it kind of diffuses the white, which is the SBR, and all this will dry clear, so you don't have to worry about the sort of look of it. It goes a sort of a greeny blue colour, but then it'll just dry completely clear, and it doesn't matter where else you get it, it'll just rub off once it's dry. So now I'm going to continue down that way, and then I'll show you the end result. So I've got to the end of here. Obviously I need to do this section here at some point, but all this needs completing yet. But I've gone a little bit wider at this end, and then you can hopefully just make out, yeah, it should come across on camera, the two tracks down there. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing at this end yet, because I have made it a little bit tight down here, so I've just sprinkled some down there, and we'll let this bit bed in and see how that bit looks. But it's an experiment to see how that comes out. Hopefully it will green up between them. Obviously it'll take it a while, but that's that bit done. So now I'm going to move on to an area, probably just over there, and see whether we can sort the little bit of track going around that corner. So we'll head over to there once I've tidied up. Probably should tidy up. I will just point out at this point that over there I had a jacket on. That was 5 minutes ago. And now too warm. This is the state of the weather at the minute. It's too hot, it's too cold. I did actually see a photo on my phone this morning from last year of us building the brickwork at that end of the garden and doing the steam up air and everything. And we'd had to put a canopy up because we were too hot. Last year too hot, this year warm in between some spring showers. What can you do? It's never building garden railway weather. It could be worse. It could be raining. Over here, I've got to get from this point right here round to the extension that's heading that way and then through to the front. So I did the line along the back. You've seen I've put that in, but I needed something across the front, and I've left a few sort of difficult bits to bridge in here. So I have to get a line, if I can just sit this on. Round here to join the 2 points up to make a triangle so that you can run whichever way. We might spring some of these points yet because the one at the back there is difficult to get to, but we'll come to that. And I left some gaps in here because I wanted a bit of interest, and that inevitably makes my life harder. So what I actually did, and you'll see I've put a couple of these in already, is decided I wanted to have a metal structure underneath. And sorry for all those people who model in LGB, I have nicked some of your track. Brand new in fact, because I was struggling to find anybody that had second hand for a reasonable price and I only needed a short section. So I've bought some set curves. This is the radius 1175, so it's 4 foot radius basically, and if you're in LGB land it is number 1600. Cheers guys. And I'm taking a lovely track apart, and it is actually a very nice track I must say, fair play, and using it to make a sort of structure underneath. My sort of thinking here is that they've used mainline rail to make a sort of supporting bit underneath to bridge a small section. So I'll give you a closer look at what this looks like. You will have to excuse me today, I am a lone railway builder and camera person because the boss is busy making things for the business, for all you lovely people that buy things from us. So that's why it's just me. So apologies now for Rob on Steadicam, I am not as good as this as Nikki, but this is what I managed to do the other day when it was supposed to be raining all day, and there was a small gap where I managed to get out and do a little bit. It wasn't long enough for me to film, but I managed to get this in. So what I've done here, I should be able to lift this out, is take the rail out of the sleepers, cut it down a little bit, these are the 2 offcuts, and then I scored using the big radius that I've got, because it only has to be rough, where the ends are, and then just use the grinder to create a slot. So very much like we did over here to put these 2 rails in, I've done the same here, except it's a much wider slot so they can get this large type of rail in. If I then sit that in there, you'll see what I mean. And then if I get this bit here, that's going to sit on there and spread across. Now at the minute I've just got 2 of these in. I thought I'd try 2 and see what it looked like, but my aim when I started this was probably to have 4 so that you have one just at the sleeper's edge. So that's going to be the next bit is there, and then we're going to do the same over on this section here. So if I just grab some of these shorter ones that we're going to use, we're just going to put those in They're like that, and I'll bridge across. And the whole point was, because you're looking at this from the front, I quite like the fact, especially this one, that it dipped down. So I'm hoping to plant something in here that might spread underneath here and come down the wall a little bit. Just like we've done, we've planted one this here, which Nikki will very kindly for me put the name right here. Thank you, assistant. And we've also got a load of other things that we've stuffed in the wall down here that are nicely taking now. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. I'll try and film some of it. Probably won't have the camera on while I'm grinding this out, because I will cover the camera in rubbish, I'm sure. So I've got all these cut in. I've got my 4 here, and I've gone with just 3 here. I'd have to have a long one to go at the back, and I just don't think it'd look right. So yeah, the sleeper's going to stick over a little bit, but I'll bring my soil level up to that one. I'm not as fussed about that. I don't think I'm going to have anything growing out this way, so that's fine. Next thing, so what I did, just to say, is when I was cutting these in, obviously I made the slot for the actual rail, so I managed to save a full rail. So I've made a slot for the actual height of the rail, because they're installed upside down, and then just took the edges off just so they sat down. So that's flat with the surface of the stone. In this area here, I've had to channel a little bit out. I might have to do a little bit on here as well, but I haven't checked that yet. Next thing is going to be how to fix these in. Some of them are fairly well held in place, to be honest, just by sitting in, but I want to also fill, because obviously when you're cutting with your angle grinder, you're going to have a rounded slope out of the end of the rail. So I want to try and fill those gaps. Now what I've ended up with around here is a lot of dust, and so I'm going to see, I'm not sure if this will work really, but I'm going to see if a bit of SBR doubled under the rails and things, stick those down and then scrape the dust over the top, will just fill them, even if it doesn't fill them completely. We'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'll use another method of gluing them down. Once the track's on top, they can't lift out anyway. It's just to stop any wobble or anything when locos are going over. So we'll give it a go, see what happens. As I expect with this FSBR stuff, it just wants to run out the hole, but somebody's got to try these things to find out if they work or don't work, and this involves trying them. Definitely works this, but you do need a lot of dust. So I'll fill this in with something else, I think. I'll give this a wash off now and report back later as to whether it actually worked or not. My camera skills are terrible, aren't they? Oh well. So that's some of what we've managed to get done today. As you can tell, I'm lone cameraman again, hence bad camera skills. But here are the 2 bits of rail bridging bit we put in earlier. So if you can now see how that's kind of worked and how all that SBR stuff has just disappeared. You can still see a little bit of it, the blue here, while it's still setting, but the rails are now actually held in place. So that's worked quite well. So we'll probably have to give it, we'll try tomorrow, but then to see if it's dry, then we can put this line in here. Again, might just be a little bit of trimming in this sort of area, but we'll see how it's looking tomorrow. Otherwise, I've just been moving some planting round, trying to make some soft edges on the waterfall and bits and pieces like that. We have a new plant that my dad, thank you Dad, has brought me, which is down there. We'll put the name up here. Thank you, editor. And yeah, generally things are looking good. The other thing that I've then done this afternoon, which I haven't filmed, I'll explain why in a second, is a load of ballasting. So the reason I haven't filmed this is because it's probably 5 or 6 years since I last actually ballasted some track, and I wanted to remind myself how to do it before I put it on camera. So we'll see what this looks like tomorrow, because I'm not 100% convinced on how I've done this bit, but I was reusing the old ballast from the old line. So I had a bag full of stuff and I've sort of sieved it and got the smaller bits, took the big bits out of it that were solid. But when you use this SBR method, it can come up, you can remove it, that's what's great about it. You'll obviously lose some because some will come up in bigger clumps, but the other bits all grind down and kind of go back to the sort of ballast you want. So you can see it's a little bit bare in places, but that's fine, I'll top it up later. But that's what we've done down here. So some of these bits down here might be a bit big, and that's why I'm just not 100% sure whether this will work using the old. What I like about the old is it's already kind of weathered in, got mucky stuff in it and things like that, so I kind of wanted it down this section of the line. What I'm ballasting at that end, not sure yet. That's probably going to be a lot further in the future, mainly because I'm wanting to redo the track section around this station loop with some custom points, but that could be years before I get to that stage, so we'll see. But as this is a scenic bit, I wanted to ballast. I will be ballasting around that corner, in fact I will walk down there, that would be easier, wouldn't it? So I will be ballasting further down here, but obviously I've got to finish off this bridge section here, and I've got the crossing and everything to put in, and there's a load more work to do in this area, so we'll see when that gets done, hopefully later this year. But yeah, you can sort of see how it's all looking. So I stopped at this point. I do have some more, but I'm hoping that if this does look alright tomorrow, I can show you tomorrow, if it's not raining, how to do this section here. Yeah, so we'll do that bit. I'm not ballasting this section yet, mainly because I want to ballast it possibly in some other type of stuff. This ballast that I'm using here, which we got for the original line, which you can see there, I believe it is what they call grano to dust. We gran it to dust, and then we out of a big ton bag, and then we sieved it. It was a bag that my dad had, they don't have it anymore, so I've only got enough. I probably haven't got enough to do the whole line, plus I want to kind of do different bits in different places just to see which one I prefer. So the station area is probably going to be a lot different, because I want it to be a lot blacker and muckier and more powdery there. This is more ballast that's aged, and then, try not to spin you too fast. This area, I'm tempted to try and leave it, or try and get some more sandy stuff to do around here, because I don't want to lose the actual stone tops. So areas like this do need something, but when you've got it just sat on the stone flags because we've laid them so well, I'm hoping to not really need very much on there, if at all. I'll decide over time and see. But yeah, the key thing tonight is that it doesn't rain, because we want this to set. So you can, I'll show you tomorrow, but hopefully, but you wet it and everything to apply it, but then you want to sort of let it sit then and set and dry, and it does take a while. So not ideal doing it late on a night, on a day that's overcast at best. My Met Office app keeps switching tomorrow between rain and sun, so I am crossing my fingers for some sun so that it can finish drying this off and possibly even get this section done for you before it gets rained off. So yeah, you can sort of see where we've got. The other thing that I have done this afternoon, just a little bit more splitting plants at this end of the line. So splitting a load more, working them back up the bank, because we seem to have ended up, well, we put some extra soil on the top, so we moved all the plants down. So now we're splitting them and moving them back up. Again, not 100% sure if I'm happy yet with the height of this bank. I think I probably am. Format of it, not sure. It's kind of just organically come to this sort of state by just putting bits and pieces in around at different times, and it's not looking bad. Yeah, this King Alpha, something I had. I'm not going to go into plants, I can never remember the name, but some of that. This stuff, which is, yeah, another name I can't quite remember the name of, but this came off a cottage of my dad's, off the roof, and it is absolutely loving this line, this area. It just likes to keep spreading. You'll see a load more around here, and we've actually put it down this track's just sat here, it's not fixed down yet, but I've put it in that section as well, and there's more of it down that end of the line as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, because it is yeah, loving it a bit too much in places, and crowding other things out, but once other things get going I don't think it will. And it's really easy to remove, it's really not hard, so I'm not too worried about that. The two heathers that still sat in their pots up here haven't yet found a home, same with these two down here. They may go in this area here, but I need to redo this section and the track here and everything else, so that will all come at some point. But yeah, it's looking green. You'll see the old steam up bay is sat down here. We've got an open day coming up, and I'm trying to make more siding space somewhere, because I haven't yet gone around to casting this section, which I'm sure I will do at some point, but I keep avoiding it. So I was trying to see if that would fit up there or somewhere else, but that's why that's that down there. We've still got it, just haven't found a place for it yet. But yeah, it's looking good, but I'm just amazed how a little bit of ballast, maybe it don't come across on camera, but we will see, a little bit of ballast changes the look of the line. When you get rid of the concrete blocks, or near enough anyway, especially as all these start to grow up and the plants start to spread onto the line, it will really change the look of the line and give you some good views, is what I'm hoping anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where we've got to. Let's see if we can get you a good shot down there, and you'll start to see what it's going to look like. So yeah, that's where we've got to. Let me do some camera trickery here. Oh, look at that, I'm a cameraman now. So yeah, I will hopefully see you tomorrow when it's definitely not raining. Do not rain, do not rain, do not rain.
Well, you're going to get me again for a couple of seconds, but I've cleaned the camera off after someone made it very mucky, filming themselves. But we'll go back to some semi-decent footage, and I'll film you for once, so... What have you been doing?
Track. Just like that.
Hey.
Obviously we've not filmed the hours of grinding, lifting, setting down, checking, grinding, setting down again.
No, the camera would be even muckier if you'd done that.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a little bit to get this bit right, because there were rougher stones around this bit, or rougher flags. But we're there now, and you can see the LGB rails underneath.
I'll try and show them.
Amongst all the dust that are supporting the track.
There's some more at this bit.
Yeah, I've had to just put a little packer under that one. Just didn't quite get it the right height, but yeah, it's... I haven't actually run a loco around it yet, I've just pushed this around it, but that can come for another time.
Trying to beat the weather.
Yes. Yes.
Good old Yorkshire British weather.
Because
weather,
it's
British
definitely sun and rain, like I think I mentioned yesterday, at the minute. So we've had a day today of pretty much sun.
It
but
baked
the
you this
rain
morning,
is coming
didn't it?
apparently,
Yeah.
so
It's cooked
that's
us
why I've been
this
trying to get these jobs done.
Cooked us this morning, and it's going to rain on us later.
But this isn't the only bit of track I've done, so we will have a look at that end of the line with my truck.
Take your truck.
Choo choo! One truck on a new bit of track. So this was from that siding that we had round here that we've extended on the bit of concreting that we put in. Again, this bit needed a little bit of grinding and things, and it's definitely not perfect, but as it's only really for a siding that you'd sort of back into, I don't think anybody would pull into, then it's fine. And this has a point on that will head off up into the top of the quarry. I've just laid some track in it, it's not actually fixed down, I've just kind of placed it in just to get an
I don't know
idea.
whether I can show the gradient.
Yeah, it's quite a gradient.
It is quite a gradient.
We're
not even going to attempt to measure it.
It's quite tight, so if I manage to get my truck on there, the truck gets to about there. So small things only.
I'll try and show it from this end.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
definitely
tight up here, but if I get the semi-static slate one, you get the idea. There's only small stuff going up here.
Gone off camera.
And up round, and there's a lot of work to do on this bit.
Yeah, that's.
But
yes,
it gives you a little bit of a indication of how we're going to connect that bit up. But yeah, we've got buffer stop in at this end, and it is quite tight here to this track, but it should just clear.
Yeah,
it is 150 mil.
We've checked it, haven't we? So.
There, so clearance should be fine, and yeah, fine there. Buffer stops. This one came from the old line. I've got two of these actually, and they're really nice. I think they came from Garden Railways Specialists, I want to say, many moons ago at a show. I could do with looking at getting some more. I'm not sure whether they still make them or not, but I really like them. Don't think they were cheap, but they've lasted. So we'll see how many, because I haven't actually got that many sidings I'll need them in yet. So I've just put one there. I might use another one somewhere else and then have a look and see whether I get more or use a different type. But yeah, that's that bit done. The other thing I said I would look at today is the ballasting, which I haven't done because it's not set and it's going to rain in a few hours, so I just didn't want to risk it. We'll go have a look at it though. Come this way, camera.
And to avoid the tree.
Yes. So yeah, I'm not 100% happy with it. It's definitely, yeah, the more I sort of try it, it's definitely setting.
It looks so good.
Or fairly well set. There's a big piece of moss that's migrated, thanks to the birds probably. But yeah, I might actually just run that truck up and down it a little bit now and clear the flange ways a little bit.
It makes such a difference.
Yeah, it really does. So next what I'll probably do, although when it'll actually be I don't know, because it's going to rain now for many days, and then we're away on holiday and everything else, but I will come along and I'm going to use Henry to probably suck up all the excess that hasn't stuck into either a new bag or whatever, and then I can try and reuse it because I'm a cheapskate. And then I'll probably put some more on again just to top it up, because it'll probably pull off a bit too much. It was always going to be harder reusing what we had last time because it's in bit bigger clumps and a bit muckier and things like that. I might put some fresh back on it to top it up, but I'll decide at that end whether I'm going to put fresh on it or a mix or whatever. But I'll show you how to do it when we get around to that bit at some point in the future. But for this bit, yeah, to be fair, it's worked pretty well. So yeah, that's probably it for the minute this weekend.
For a few weeks, I would say, because
for a few weeks,
the weather's going to be
yes,
pretty up and down.
yes, it's inside jobs now.
And then we're away.
Yeah.
And then we've only got a short while till our open day after that.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So I'll try and get some footage before then.
Path will take priority.
Path does
I don't
need.
know when you've shown the path yet.
Can't remember if I've shown the path or not,
Oh,
but I am.
Oh.
I am. Yeah, you go around that way. I'll stand at the other end.
I'll go around here. We'll watch Rob run. Oh, he stopped running. So
Yeah,
there's a bit of a void in the middle.
Yeah, not to there, but this is a little bit wet. So
this was about an inch up the flags that are stood up of
yeah,
water a few days ago.
Today. So drainage might be a problem. Now we do have a drain in just round that corner and things, and we know that it runs underneath where it runs and things. So we could put a drain in. We're trying to avoid it because we don't want to send more water down the drainage system. Yeah, more hard surfaces and all the rest. So I'm trying to do it without doing that and store the water up basically. So that's why the path is obviously higher up than where I've dug it, and all this will be gravel either side. Obviously this will remain as garden, so you will be able to store quite a lot of water in this bit when it does heavy rain and not flood the path. That's the idea. If I need to put a drain in, I'll probably set it a bit higher and then it can flow into that if it gets really bad, but that's the kind of thinking here. So it's just a pain that we keep having rain, and like today it's almost dried out, but then it's going to rain again. So
if it had stayed doing what it was doing this morning, it'd have been fine, but it's going to absolutely hammer it down overnight, and we're getting thunderstorms tomorrow. So
yeah, so yeah, we will get this bit done before the we have to.
Before the open day.
Somehow we're going to have to try and get it done because it's a bit of a big leap to make that across a mud bog. So yeah, somehow we'll sort it. It'll all be good. But yeah, until next time, that's us signing off.
For a while, yes.
For a while. Come into shot. I'm in shot.